Welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today, I'm going to touch on the SEC decision on delaying the spot Bitcoin ETFs, and I'm also going to talk about what I think as far as relating to the 2024 elections and the economy. Now, before I get started, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing information, giving you my thoughts and my opinions on that information. Now, many of you should already know the SEC, according to this article here, delays their decision on the spot Bitcoin ETF applications, right? So this has actually been pushed back to January 1st of 2024. I've read other articles where they're saying it's pushed back until January 10th. So either way, January of 2024, unless the SEC is somehow able to delay those decisions again, somehow, some way, we should have the Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum spot ETFs ready to go by then. This is not to say that next week we could see these applications being approved. So anything could happen at any time. Now, looking at what happened with Bitcoin, if you remember my last video, we saw Bitcoin almost break through 38,000. Right? When the Bitcoin news came out, Bitcoin actually dipped below 35,000 to 34,948. Right? It almost had broken through 38,000 before then. And then after then, it almost broke through again. A lot of people were buying in the dip. Now, some people are going to say that this delay is allowing God's people to get in. And I do believe that to some extent because, there are some people that are new to the wealth transfer and they don't really have that much funds. So they're scrambling to, wait till their next paycheck or wait till they can come up with some money so they can buy some things in the markets. It's one of the reasons why when you're sharing news about the crypto markets, you stick with the top cryptocurrencies. Don't worry about meme coins and BNB token coins and all that stuff. Now, one of the sure things that is happening in 2024 is the election. The economy and the stock market are crap, and there's actually only a handful of companies that are keeping up the Dow, the NASDAQ, etc. Right? Inflation is out of control, and the Democrats have less than 1 year to make everything look good, regardless of who is running for president on the Democratic side. Now, one of the most interesting things is, as we've always seen in every election, if we're going to see these prophecies pop up again about that red wave, I wanted to mention that because, I think that's important going into this next election. You had a lot of people that had so-called prophecies there was going to be a red wave in 2018, 2020, and 2022. And we didn't see those red waves happen. Now, the Democratic Party is in turmoil, and actually both parties are in turmoil, but you have a war that is dividing Democrats. You have Newsom pretending to be running for president, and the DOJ is actually even going after their own party members. You saw what's happening with the mayor of New York. You see what is happening with Senator Mendez, right? And there's some other prosecutions and convictions that I could talk about dealing with the Democratic side, but they are going after their own people. To be honest with you, the Republican candidates, to me, it's a big joke of what's actually taking place in the Republican Party. And I know there's a lot of people that support the Republican Party. There's very few Republicans that are actually for the people. And if people don't want to wake up from that, they said red wave, right? And we're supposed to vote out all the rhinos. And guess what? They were voting in rhinos. But we know, according to prophecy, the Democrat and the Republican Party is going to be no more, right? It's not going to be the same as it was. And there's going to be a new party that comes forth. And, a lot of the Republicans are actually acting like Democrats. If you go back, folks, you look at a lot of the corruption, it's happening in the Republican Party too. And so that's one reason why they came against Donald J. And it's another reason why they vote with the Democrats, and people don't see it. All this is happening because most of the politicians have their one agenda. Now, the primaries for the Dems is coming up, and there's a lot of dissension. There's a lot of people that don't want Biden to run, and that's going to cause some controversy. And the problem with the Democrats is that they should have made their change before the end of this year. It should have already happened, really. And now, if they try to make a switch, right, and people aren't going to know who these people are, they're going to have to try to find some superstar that everybody knows to run. And with the economy and the inflation, job losses, and so on, They are not only going to need to be able to raise money, but also they have to make the economy look good. And they need to start doing that starting in 2024. So by delaying the Bitcoin ETFs, they are controlling the bull run. And they don't want it to run right now until they are ready. They don't want it too early, because what happens with news headlines, right? They all want these news headlines, and you don't want a bull run to happen now and then a bull run to happen maybe months after the Bitcoin halving, right? It'll be too late by then. So they need as many headlines going into 2024 concerning the crypto markets and the money that's going to be made. A lot of people are going to put it into the stock market, and maybe hedge funds and so forth that are involved in crypto will take money and put it into the stock market. A lot of the companies that are actually holding up the Dow, and you look at their CEOs, they're very liberal, and they want the person in power or the party to stay in power that's in power now. So things will be done to manipulate the stock market to make it look at least a little bit better, but they will when it comes to Bitcoin, because they need to raise money to do a lot of the things that they want to do. And let me share this, right? I believe that there were deeper and darker plans when it came to FTX. Now, I just want to read some of these headlines. Bankman-Fried used $100 million in stolen FTX funds for political donations. Here are the Dems who benefited from the left-wing pact that FTX funneled $27 million through. FTX bankruptcy means $73 million in political donations at risk of being clawed back. Bankman-Fried was one of the GOP's and Democrats' biggest donors. Congress FTX problem. 1 in 3 members got cash from crypto exchange bosses. Sam Bankman-Fried FTX allies secretly poured $50 million into dark money groups, evidence shows. I believe that when all of this was exposed, their plans that they had for crypto were pushed back, that lost a lot of money, and now they also have to raise money, right? He was funneling all this money, not just to Democrats, but also Republicans too. And it was this man, CZ, the CEO of Binance, who actually exposed all of it. If he was one of those guys, if he was one of the elite, then he would have taken over FTX and you would have never heard any of this coming out. But their plans, whatever was going to happen with crypto and the politicians, and now you got the hedge funds getting involved, just think about if FTX was still here. And all these things were going on behind the scenes. But it's writing on the wall concerning these crypto ETFs and what they're going to do. And then the Bitcoin halving, right? They know Bitcoin is going to soar and bring the rest of the crypto industry following it, right? Bitcoin is going to hit 100,000, 150,000. Those are prices that are inevitable. And eventually down the road in the future, as Bitcoin becomes more rare, you're going to see it climb up above 500,000 and so on. But during this time period, though, don't be surprised if there are some hedge funds, not the main ones, become victims of short squeezes to fulfill their agenda. We saw the short squeezes of 2021 for those of you who took advantage of some of those short squeezes. But they need headlines to do it all through 2024, from the beginning of 2024 all the way up until when it's time to vote. And they basically have less than a year. Right now, primaries are coming up. I don't know how all this is going to work out when it comes to Biden and the Democrats and who's actually going to be running. But they need to make their decisions very soon. Because if they don't, they're going to try to do a switch in the middle of the year, and it's going to fail miserably. Unless that's what they want, right? So I did share with you guys, if you see some of the left-leaning liberal media start putting Donald J in more of a positive light, then you know they want him to become president. Because if the economy is really bad underneath the surface, if they think it's going to really crash, they're not going to have their people in office. And so also, too, don't be surprised if they claim inflation is really low, too, during this time period. They're going to manipulate the numbers. And, like I said, they need good news on the economy and markets for the majority of 2024. And so there's going to be this mass hysteria about Bitcoin. Everybody's going to be jumping into Bitcoin. Everybody's going to be jumping in the crypto markets. Once you see Bitcoin starting to really move up, and I'm saying above that 40,000, 50,000 mark. There's going to be a lot of FOMO, and it's going to help push the whole crypto industry up. A lot of people are going to get in at much higher prices than what it was 6 months ago, right? Or even today. So I believe that that's one of the reasons why that we're seeing a delay in much of this stuff, because they need the economy to look good, because it's not just about the presidency too as well. It's about the House and the Senate. And so they, having headlines on CNN, Fox News, and don't think Fox News is some type of great alternative, because if they did, then there's some things that they should really report on. So the news media will play their part in all of this too as well. So I think most people, by the time November comes, will have made up their mind, right? So if they don't have somebody running for president in the next few months that's different from Biden, they're really going to be in trouble, and they're really going to have to, the economy is just going to have to be super booming. And that's why I think they're going to be using the crypto markets to do that, or at least try to do that. So with all the early voting, right, absentee ballots and everything, which I think it's like there are some states that are like up to 2 months before the actual elections, you can submit it. And so there's a segment of the voting population that will have made up their mind right before they submit their absentee ballot. Around the September 1st area, so the economy actually by September needs to be rocking going into the election. The inflation has to change. People have to feel the difference. But if they can use the media to make you think that things are different, then we're going to end up with the same people that are in there, and it's going to be much, much worse if one side wins over the other. And what happened with XRP and that whole thing with the fake spot ETF and all the news that went around, that's why it's very important, folks, that especially in this time period, to watch out for the fake news. Wait till it's verified, because there are people that are trying to take advantage of, with the hype that first comes with the fake news, right? And then you see things go up, and then when the fake news comes out, when it's exposed, and when it's exposed as fake news, then everything drops. So XRP was sitting around 65 cents for a time, and because of that, came down to 59 cents, now back up to 61 cents. So XRP fake news did hurt the markets. And one of the other things too, sometimes you wonder, when you see Bitcoin drop dramatically, sometimes like it might drop by like 1,000 over a certain, over a short period of time or something like that. One of the things that people need to realize, and this is relating to the wealth transfer, and many people don't see it, and there's trading bots. And there are different platforms. Most of them I can't have access to. These platforms have trading bots. And you can copy somebody else's trading bot. So if somebody's doing really well on their trading bot, thousands of people can copy the exact same script for those bots. So that means if somebody creates a bot dealing with Bitcoin and it's profitable, and then they can allow other users to copy that, so you could have 10,000 people copying the same exact script. Now, I believe that bots will play a role in the wealth transfer, but that all remains to be seen. So anyways, folks, that is all that I have for this today. I thank you guys for listening. God bless. TC out.